Coming up, Kazakhstan may launch the production of green hydrogen. The project will be implemented by French investors. Find out more details in our news digest. The volume of mutual trade between Kazakhstan and Iran grew by 85% last year, amounting to over $440 million. In what sectors do the parties cooperate? Stay tuned to learn more. The ancient names of 64 settlements were determined in Akmola region. How did scientists get to find unique facts about the toponyms? Will the old historical names return? Watch next. Kazakhstan's new economic course was presented to French investors. Presently, more than 170 companies with the French capital operate in the country. France has invested about $18 billion in the economy of Kazakhstan. During the meeting, it was noted that these investments are protected by the state. The introduction of a new tax policy for large enterprises should eliminate favoritism, guarantee transparency, and be clear to enterprises and the government. We are thankful to Ambassador Galiev, who informed us on how the business climate will develop, administrative procedures be simplified, and foreign investments be protected. All this is great, and we expect faster improvements in the business environment that will motivate French companies to invest in local production.
Simplification administrative et de protection des investissements étrangers.
In addition, the heads of French companies talked about the projects they intend to implement in Kazakhstan. In particular, they discussed the possibility of producing green hydrogen, improving environmental standards of enterprises, and focusing on processing.
The
Kazakh side presented its policy, reassured us on controversial issues, and we somehow quickly moved on from discussing the key topic of this meeting to the projects. There were issues related to the implementation of future projects. The French investors are still ready, with the same will and desire, to continue cooperation with Kazakhstan.
de l'objet de ces réunions, mais on a très vite reparlé.
The volume of mutual trade between Kazakhstan and Iran exceeded $440 million in 2021, which is approximately 85% more than the previous year, Kazakh Ministry of Trade and Integration reported. Kazakhstan is set to increase exports to the Iranian market in the future. The issue of establishing a business council is being considered to improve the effectiveness of the dialogue between the businesses of the two countries. The Kazakh side offers to make further joint efforts to establish favorable tariff conditions on the Kazakhstan-Turkmenistan-Iran railway line and work on organizing transit container traffic through the ports of Kazakhstan and Iran. In general, the two countries intend to strengthen cooperation in trade and economic field, agriculture, education, information technology, and tourism. According to the ministry, the parties plan to hold additional expert consultations on these issues in the near future. Kazakhstan has maintained its position in the ranking of the Global Competitiveness Index. According to the World Economic Forum report, our country is in the 55th place. At the same time, positive dynamics is observed in some positions. In particular, regarding the extent of market dominance, Kazakhstan grew by 14 positions and took 70th place. In terms of the competition in the service sector, the country rose from 81st to 80th place. The improvement of Kazakhstan's position is associated with the ongoing work to protect fair competition in the commodity markets and the removal of administrative barriers. 6,648 cases of the coronavirus infection were detected in Kazakhstan in the past day. The city of Almaty had the highest daily number of infected people again. 1,602 patients caught the infection there. The country's capital came next with 749 COVID-19 cases. This time, Pavlodar region took the third place. 679 people tested positive for coronavirus there. Since the beginning of the pandemic, the number of COVID-19 cases confirmed in the country has exceeded 1,260,000. According to Kazakh Health Ministry, over 120,000 residents of the country are currently continuing to receive treatment for the disease. More than 10,000 out of them are in hospitals. Over 8,785,000 people have been vaccinated with two components in Kazakhstan to date. From February 9th, Sweden will lift most coronavirus restrictions, including the requirement to provide green passports. In addition, there is no need to wear masks in public transport. Work in offices as well as in-person classes in higher educational institutions will be allowed gradually. However, the country's authorities have recommended people with COVID-19 symptoms not to leave their homes. Currently, in Sweden, more than 83% of residents over the age of 12 have received 2 doses of the vaccine, and almost 50% have received a booster shot. Vaccination certificates in the EU will be valid until June 30th, 2023. In Brussels, it was decided to start issuing them not only on the basis of the drugs received, but also on the presence of antibodies. This was announced by representatives of the European Commission, Christian Weigand. Passports might be also issued to persons participating in clinical trials of vaccines against COVID-19. Meanwhile, Brussels will continue its effort to support third countries interested in developing compatible digital certificate systems. To date, more than 1.2 billion COVID-19 passports have been issued in the world, which unite more than 60 countries. Vaccination of children from 5 to 11 years old has started in Malaysia. More than 500,000 minors will undergo the procedure. Over the past 6 months, almost 150,000 cases of coronavirus infection in children have been recorded in the country. Malaysia has high vaccination rates. Almost 98% of adults were vaccinated with 2 components.
They don't encourage against the vaccine.
Many parents are afraid to allow their children to be vaccinated. I think they just need to learn about the benefits of vaccination. Yes, there are concerns about side effects, but I think the benefits outweigh the risks.
Yeah, I'm sure they're worried about,
The Europe-Asia Peace and Reconciliation March will start at the capital of Kazakhstan. The delegation will depart on July 3rd. There will be a total of 3 stages. The first stage will take place in 4 countries: Kazakhstan, Kyrgyzstan, Russia, and Georgia. The next stage will cover the territory of the US. The third stage will start in Almaty and finish in Jaganapur. There will be a flag parade and a roundtable to present the new concept of interreligious dialogue. Kazakhstan will send 30 participants. This year, the Peace and Reconciliation March will be held for the 16th time.
Мы в каждом городе будем запускать по договоренности очень большой информационный блок.
We will run a very large information campaign in each city as per agreement, so that 5 to 10,000 people could come out and take part in this large-scale festival. We're also announcing that we are preparing a caravan of friendship, a caravan of peace and harmony, in which any representatives of creative groups from each city can take part, using their own vehicles. They can join our caravan and drive along the entire route with us.
Присоединиться к нашему каравану и вместе с нами пройти по всему маршруту.
The ancient names of 64 settlements in the Akmola region have been determined. The research results cover the period from the second half of the 18th to the beginning of the 20th century. All the collected data were included in the book album Historical Toponyms of Akmola region, which was presented in the capital of Kazakhstan. The scientific work is based on the materials collected from the country's state archives, as well as geographical and cartographic databases of the archive in Omsk region, Russia. In particular, scientists analyzed documents on the resettlement, orders of the steppe governor-generals on changing the names of lands and rivers, and copies of official letters. 40% of the settlements, which still bear Russian language names, still exist, says the author of the book, Irina Begzat-Qızı. According to her, this is only the beginning of a large scientific work on the study of toponyms. In the future, similar studies are planned to be carried out in North Kazakhstan, Kostanay, and Pavlodar regions. Currently, in our country, there are a lot of names in other languages. For example, villages. We believe that they should have the ancient Kazakh names. And this is the purpose of our study. In the future, we will not only study, but also present it at the National Onomastic Commission. If our initiative finds support, I think that historical names will be returned.
Myth and modernity of the Kazakh people in digital painting. The first personal exposition of Almaty resident Janar Yerlankızı opened in Paris. The artist presented the main legends of the country of the Great Steppe in her style of fairy tale illustrations. She gets her inspiration to create works from the research of famous historian and linguist Serek Bolkondabay. The artist delicately combines in the paintings the historical past with the present. The French public liked this kind of digital art.
Ему очень понравилось, мне кажется, еще
They
мифологически.
liked, I think, the myth part because there is still a child in each of us. We all love to fantasize, look at pictures and see what we want to see. Therefore, I saw that many people were spending their time in the myth part, and also because I wrote a booklet with explanations of the paintings, it seems to me that it was convenient for them to come closer and touch.
С объяснениями картин, и мне кажется, им было удобно, что они могли читать про картину и также смотреть, близко подходить, трогать.
A 35-year-old Kazakh traveler, Damir Kusheyev, made an unusual journey by bike from Seoul to Busan. He rode 800 kilometers.
Почему Корея? Потому что Казахстан и
Why Korea? Because this year, on January 28th, Kazakhstan and Korea celebrate the 30th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic relations. The second point is that Korea erected a monument to our great poet Abay Kunanbayla. The third thing is that Korea is the only country that has an 800-kilometer track from Busan to Seoul.
Протяженностью 800 километров с Пусана до Сеула.
During the trip, Damir gave Kazakhstan chocolate to South Korean residents. He carried the Kazakh flag through the whole country. Also, a consulate of Kazakhstan will be opened in Busan. Kazakhstan is a country with unlimited possibilities. Korean companies have a good chance to do business. I work in logistics, and I see good opportunities for the synthesis of the rich resources of Kazakhstan with advanced technologies of Korea. According to Kusheyev, the distance was not easy to cover. He encountered wild animals, he was running out of food, the water was freezing, and he spent nights in a tent in the open air. But in large cities, the residents welcomed him with all honors. In Daejeon, a guard of honor was stationed to greet the traveler. In the city, he visited the grave of the Korean hero Hongbom-do, whose remains were brought from Qazaq in August last year. We are grateful for the donation of the ashes of Hongbom-do. He is the hero of the struggle for the independence of Korea and the person who contributed to our country being the way it is now. Many citizens come here to honor him.
더욱더 감사하게 생각하고 있습니다.
시와 자매 결연을 맺을 계획입니다.
We intend to sign an agreement on the establishment of sister city relations with Qazaq. The Kazakh delegation will come with a visit on March 1st. Now we are preparing to conclude cooperation agreements.
자매 결연을
The cyclist also visited Hankuk University, the only university in Korea where Kazakh language is studied. The students sang the song of the great Kazakh poet Abay, especially for him. The bike ride ended in Seoul near the monument to Abay Kunanbayla, but Damir Kusheyev's foreign travels did not end there. I set myself the goal of driving through all those countries with monuments to the great Abay Kunanbayla. There are more than 10 such countries, and the two countries I visited are Turkey and Korea. 8 countries left.